Thank you, Steve. If you take one thing from what Steve just shared, it's this. Houston has momentum, real momentum. Population growth, jobs that support that growth, huge capital investments, exciting innovation. So the question isn't whether Houston is winning. The question is, how do we keep winning? How do we make sure companies and people keep choosing Houston? How do we make sure that opportunity remains abundant for people who have always called Houston home and for those choosing Houston to build their future? That question sits at the heart of the mission of the Greater Houston Partnership. We work on big, consequential issues so this city can continue to grow and so that opportunity continues to grow with it. As I take on this role today, I do so on behalf of a board that is deeply committed to Houston's future. The priorities I'll cover today won't sound new to you. Steve spoke to them just now, and last year Gretchen challenged us on one of them. And that's intentional. Because progress doesn't come from constantly shifting priorities, it comes from staying focused on a vital few until that work is done. So the two priorities that require our attention and action today are economic mobility, because growth only matters if people can benefit from it, and resilience, because a strong foundation is needed to ensure a strong future. And I'm confident we can make progress on both this year for a very simple reason. Because when Houston faces challenges, we get to work. And I learned that about this city before I ever lived here. The very first time I came to Houston, it wasn't for a job interview, it wasn't to watch one of our great sports teams, it wasn't even by choice. It was to help support 𝗚𝗎𝗍's recovery efforts after Hurricane Rita in 2005. It wasn't just my first time in this big city, it was my first big time in any big city. I came up with a team of leaders from the Rio Grande Valley, and we were here for 2 weeks, really long days, stocking shelves as fast as we could, serving communities that needed it. And what struck me wasn't just what 𝗚𝗎𝗍 was doing, it was what everyone was doing. Neighbors who were spared, helping those who weren't. Nonprofit organizations, critical institutions, and government leaders bringing their full collective resources to bear. And the message was unmistakable. Everyone was working together to put Houston back together. That was my introduction to Houston. Not at its easiest moment, but at its most revealing. After weeks of rewarding work, it was finally time for us to go back home. And as we were driving down 59, I vividly remember thinking to myself, Lord, let them send me anywhere, but not Houston. As impressed as I was with the city, I was a small town boy and I wanted to keep it that way. But less than a year later, 𝗚𝗎𝗍 called with a request. We'd like you to move to Houston. So the lesson here is be careful what you pray for. But joking aside, the real lesson took me a little bit longer to figure out. Houston doesn't just impress you, it changes what's possible. Fast forward 20 years to today, Houston has showed me what's possible when opportunity is real and reachable. I arrived here as 𝗚𝗎𝗍 was betting big on this city. And like so many others, we came because we saw the opportunity and because our company needed us here. And Houston didn't just give me a job, it gave me a place to build our future. It gave my children, Anissa and Daniel, a world-class education, a life shaped forever by Houston's diversity, and a future full of promise. It gave my wife, Corina, and I a community that we love and a cherished group of friends. Corey, thank you for being here today. Kids, thank you for being here today, and for all that you do for our family. Thank you. Our lives are undeniably better because we chose Houston, and our story isn't unique. That's the secret to Houston's success that Steve talked about. People come here for opportunity. They come here to work. And if they're willing to work hard, the city opens its arms. That's what sets Houston apart. We know how to work together when it counts. As I look around this room, I see competitors, fierce ones, but they're sitting side by side. In the grocery business, we fight for customers every day. Energy companies compete for assets. Banks compete for deals. Hospital systems compete for patients. We all play hard on the field. But this is Houston's secret sauce. When the whistle blows, we step off the field and into places like the Greater Houston Partnership and the United Way of Greater Houston and nonprofit tables throughout this entire city. And we roll up our sleeves and ask, what do we all need to do to make Houston better? Because competing individually is how we win as a company, but working together is how we win as a city. That instinct to take on hard work and stay with it has defined this partnership for decades. And this annual meeting has always been where we reaffirm and share our commitment to that work. And history shows what's possible when we stay with it. Gina Luna challenged us to rethink workforce development long before it was fashionable. That work ultimately became Upskill Houston, which recently celebrated 10 years of connecting Houstonians to opportunity, and we're now advancing that work into its next phase. Scott McClellan focused us on K-12 education. Since then, we've moved from roughly half of our students being in low-performing schools to more than 80% now attending an A or B-rated school. And last year, HISD had 0 failing schools. And there's still more work to be done. Bobby Tudor challenged Houston to lead on the energy transition, not by choosing sides, but by choosing solutions. Since the launch of the Houston Energy Transition Initiative, members have invested more than $95 billion into low-carbon projects, and they've reduced Scope 1 emissions by 20%. Different leaders, different moments, same instinct. Solve big problems together. That's the partnership's formula. Which brings me to our focus on resilience and economic mobility. The resilience work Steve just outlined isn't abstract to me. It's informed by my experience. I just mentioned how my first experience with Houston was after a hurricane. And what that and every other storm since then has taught me is this: heroic responses are needed less when a city is built to be resilient by design. At HEB, we're proud of our disaster response, but I don't want that to be our legacy. I want us to be known for brisket queso and great tortillas and excellent customer service, not emergency water distribution. And resilience isn't about reacting better next time. It's about needing to react less. We just came through another significant cold spell, and we're all grateful it passed without major disruption. And we take that as forward progress, but not a finish line. So the partnership will stay focused on this work: grid reliability, flood mitigation, and coastal protection, because strong, reliable systems create confidence for our communities today and for the companies and families considering Houston for their futures. Now on to economic mobility. Steve said it plainly: we can't wait a generation to get this one right. And here's why. Only 20% of Houston area high school graduates earn a living wage 6 years after graduation. Only 20%. That should stop us all in our tracks. And this isn't about ambition or work ethic. Those exist in abundance here. And it's not about opportunity either. With industries ranging from life sciences to energy, manufacturing to logistics, AI to the port, opportunities surround us. This is simply a connectivity problem. Career information exists, but it's fragmented. Students don't see the path, employers don't see the pipeline, and opportunity is lost in between. So we're doubling down on 2 fronts. First, we have to get student career planning right. If young people don't know what jobs are out there or how to get from school to those jobs, it's nearly impossible to chart a path forward. That's why we're building clear, employer-informed career pathways, starting as early as middle school, continuing through high school, and post-secondary training, and ending in real, in-demand careers people can actually plan their futures around. Second, and this is the piece that brings it together, we're building an AI-powered career navigation and workforce development platform. This interactive system aligns talent supply with employer demand. It connects students to high-demand careers. It directs them to training programs that deliver the right skills. For students, it clarifies opportunity. For educators, it aligns programs with reality. And for employers, it connects them to the talent they need to grow. 𝗙𝗢𝗨𝗧 and his team are leading this work with a strong and diverse group of partners. With employers and educators helping build this system, it won't just reflect where the job market is and will be, it will help close the gap between talent and opportunity. But that only works when the people who hire and develop talent help shape it. And that's where each of you comes in. We know we need more employers at the table to co-create this solution. So please scan this QR code that you see above and claim your seat. Let's continue to work together to build the future of our workforce together. So I talked about two priorities, but there's one commitment that we're never going to be done with if we want to continue to grow as a city, and that is a commitment to keep working together. In a world that keeps telling us that we have to pick sides, Houston has always chosen a different path. As our former chair, Dr. Mark Boom, reminded us, we don't have to choose either or. Here, we believe in the and. We compete hard. We don't agree on everything, and we still come together to move this city forward. And that's why I'm honored to serve alongside this board and the leaders who make up this partnership. This role is a privilege, and it's built on the support of many. So I wanted to take a minute to thank my family, my HEB team, and also the many leaders who came before me who made this moment possible. And I also want to recognize the outstanding staff of the Greater Houston Partnership, the team that does the hard, day-to-day work of advancing our region's priorities. Next week is Partnership Week. You'll find details at your tables and through the QR code that is now on the screen. And think of these not as meetings, but as an open door to work alongside this outstanding team. So I once prayed to be sent anywhere but Houston. It turns out this is exactly where I was meant to be a part of a group of leaders that do the work to ensure that opportunity will be real for those who follow us. And if we stay true to who we are, thinking big, working hard, and winning together, there's simply no limit to what this city can become. With that, we conclude today's program. Thank you for your belief in this city and for your commitment to the partnership. Have a great day. Thank you.